Gamestork, delivering news, reviews, and playthroughs like a newborn baby.
Hey, what's up everyone? This is Jeff with Gamestork, and today I want to discuss some of the questions and answers given at the 77th Annual Nintendo General Shareholders Meeting. And there's a lot of question and answers in this meeting, but I picked out a couple specifically that I'd like to discuss, as I thought that they were interesting Q&A between Takahashi and also Kimishima, answering the questions from these investors. Now, the first was the third question that was asked, and I'll leave a link in the description below so that you can go if you would like. I'll find a site that has all of them and listed there. That way, if you'd like to read them all. But the first question here was the third overall, and it said there were many NES, SNES games, but relatively few for Wii U, which had a short lifespan. Is Switch doing well? I read about Zelda's 300-person debug team, but I think that's a very good thing and should continue. Now, Kimishima said, game developers flock to healthy hardware. Indies are booming. We plan to sell 10 million Switches this fiscal year, 13 million by fiscal year end. Sorry to users who couldn't buy a Switch. If 10 million are sold, more developers will jump on board, and will also make an indie-friendly environment. Now, as we see, looking at this, number one, we still see that number of 13 million by the end of the fiscal year, this is what they're guaranteeing. This is what they're looking at and saying, this is what we're planning to put out. It's what's going to happen. This is our guarantee. Now, Nintendo has, just prior to this interview, said that they are ramping up production, that they do plan on giving us more stock this year and bumping it up, but how much we don't know. I know there was a rumor that said it was going up to 18 million by the end of the fiscal year, but even if it is only 13 million, you have to understand that the lifespan of the Wii U sold right at 13 million units. So we're looking at year one of the Nintendo Switch outselling the last console in its lifespan of 1 year. That's pretty big. So this is a really, really big deal. And you can tell that Kimishima has a very, very good understanding. The fact that they have to sell more units before more developers will jump on board. This is something that a lot of the fan base for Nintendo just doesn't understand. The failure of the Wii U. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Wii U. I thought it was a wonderful system. It had some really good games on it. But it still, as far as sales were concerned, was a failure of a console. It didn't sell well, and the developers that did invest in that really didn't get a payout for it. It wasn't worth their time. A lot of them really lost money on making ports to come over to the Wii U. So Nintendo here is saying, or Kimishima specifically is saying that if 10 million more are sold this year, which they plan on that being, that's a very just low-balled number. More of that's going to sell. Then definitely more developers are going to jump on board, and this is also going to make a very indie-friendly environment. Now, we already see the indie-friendly environment beginning. Indie games are bursting onto the scene and really doing very well on the Nintendo Switch. The portable idea behind this console really beats out, purchasing these indie games on the PS4 or anything like that, because you get the same exact graphics, same exact experience on the go. So really, the Nintendo Switch makes sense to be the ultimate indie machine and the place to go to purchase indies above other, consoles. So the next question I put on here was question number 5 in the meeting, and it said Switch is emphasized as a home console coexisting with 3DS. But new Pokemon was announced for Switch, and I feel the environment has changed. Where do you see Switch and 3DS coexisting going? And what are your thoughts on Switch and its successor for 3DS coexisting? Now, Kimishima and Takahashi answered this one, which really gives hope to all those people who own a 3DS. Now, first, Kimishima said Switch can be enjoyed in different ways. No details on Pokemon Switch yet, so please wait for details on what kind of game it is. Even though we already know that it's a core, according to Reggie Fils-Aimé, a core RPG game. Yeah, we know that. Anyway, 3DS will pass 70 million this fiscal year, and we want to continue providing software for it. And that's the thing here. Nintendo, when you get down to it, they're a business, and they want to make money. And if you're a third-party developer who's been developing for the 3DS to this, big install base, you want to make money. So Nintendo's going to keep on pouring in to the 3DS. These things are going to have to coexist. Now, I will say, seeing the new Samus Returns announcement really has me excited to open up my Switch again. But I got this game not too long ago called Ever Oasis, and you guys have probably heard of it, and it's good. And, it really, I've been kind of playing that and enjoying it, and that's the first game that's really brought me back to my 3DS from the Switch. And so, I don't think it's necessarily a dead console. I think launching the 2DS XL for $150 is very wise to keep that console going, to grow the install base, to make even more money. If this thing only lasts 2 more years, why not get the install base as high as you can, sell as much as you can, do as much as you can, and make the most money? That's what makes sense. So Takahashi answering this question said, Switch is a unique home console thanks to the Joy-Con. 3DS is already popular, so we will release more games for them. And that's just that. We saw this E3 this year that Nintendo actually, despite what I thought prior, that Nintendo is going to keep on making games for the Nintendo 3DS past 2018, all the way into 2019. So we know that at least until 2019 there are games coming, and this would be this fiscal year. That's by next March. 3DS is looking to pass 70 million consoles. That's huge. That is big. That's one of the highest selling consoles of all time. And I do love my 3DS, and I'm looking forward to more games for it. And I'm looking forward to what they bring and what we see. Another question that stood out to me, it's really interesting because this is something that's kind of one of those issues when we look at it. You want it, but you don't. You want this, but you really don't want this because you're afraid of what it might go. Okay, and this question just beforehand is regarding film, video, DVD, anime, stuff like that. So immediately, when we think Nintendo movie, we think of Super Mario Brothers movie, I guess, from back in the 90s, right? And it wasn't good, let's face it. When I was a kid, I loved it, and just because I was a kid, and it was the only thing, outside of the Super Mario Brothers show that I watched on television, that was a mixture of those 2 really weird guys jumping around in jumpsuits and a cool cartoon. This is kind of what we had as far as movies were concerned. And so looking forward to this, we're like, okay, there have been rumors about Zelda coming to Netflix and kind of being like Game of Thrones, and there have been this and that, but do we really want that? Because, it could be bad, and it typically is bad. Video game movies don't work. Resident Evil, Assassin's Creed, Hitman, need I go on? You know what I'm saying? The Tomb Raider movies, those are okay. But Resident Evil, did I say that one? Because that's double bad. So Resident Evil, if that's number 3, there you go. Anyway, so here's the question. It was the 7th question of that night. It says, regarding product video, are there any plans to bring back past content like Kirby anime on Blu-ray, DVD, or old games for console or mobile? So Kimishima said, we'll look into investing towards film. We want to increase opportunities for Nintendo IP and guide consumers with hardware that equals software synergy. Now, regarding Kirby, we'll take your valuable opinion into consideration. Now, I think Kirby is one, if they did an anime for this, would be really good for kids because Kirby relates very well to children, and I don't think that it's a big enough IP that it would really ruin anything to take a chance on. Now, when you go off, Mario or Zelda or something like that, I think you have more of a chance because more people follow the lore, and more people would, we live in a society of people who are, habitually hyper offended by everything. They're just hypersensitive, offended by everything that happens or comes across them. They get angry. People watch the intro to this channel and they just get so mad that eggs would cook on their foreheads, And it's just one of those things. I think it's really good, like Kirby specifically. I'm glad, they mentioned that because Kirby is a good option. Now, Miyamoto said, we will hold the Kirby IP and it's growing in Europe and it's selling in Spain, watching places without games hardware. We want to make anime for Pikmin, Star Fox, Yoshi, etc. and distribute it freely or integrate into games. Now, what I want to say to this is a hoobity what, right? Because I'm just like, okay. So Miyamoto himself is saying that they want to make anime for Pikmin, Star Fox, Yoshi, and all of these characters. I think that this would be great. I think it would be awesome. Now, whether or not they're working in the games, I don't know. They probably would. But the idea is having, episodes of something, or having a show, or putting something out there for these. This would really work out well for them. I believe that a lot of people would watch it. And the only thing they really have to do is just make it not suck. Imagine how really cool a Pikmin show would be. You can make it very funny, adventurous. Like, you could go with any direction with this, and it would be something unique and different that you don't see on television. Star Fox could be, like Star Wars Rebels. I mean, this practically what that is. They can make an amazing show out of this. Now, this intergalactic starfighter, go on an adventure per episode type series. It's got great characters, and I could really see it working. Yoshi, I don't know, because you can't really give Yoshi a voice. I think that would ruin it. But you could put Yoshi in a world with other voices, by other people or whatever. I don't know. But I think it's really cool. Nintendo, especially their partnership with Ubisoft, it seems like they're really loosening the reins a little bit on their IPs. And it's just one of those things. In the near future, we might expect some more animes. I think that would be great, because I really love watching anime, and I love watching these things. I love the Nintendo characters, and I like the idea, of this synergy of, making these characters. I mean, it works with Pokemon. Let's not forget that. Pokemon is a very successful show, and possibly an even more successful gaming series that comes to the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon is very, very, very successful, and it doesn't have to stop there. Well, anyway, that's going to do it. There are more questions on this, but these were really the ones that stood out, and I didn't want to make like an hour video looking at all of them, so I just picked these three for us to look at. Anyway, let me know in the comments below how you feel about this, about any of these three questions, the 3DS support, the animes coming, or any of that cool stuff. I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to like and subscribe below if you haven't already. Just hit that red button. If you want email updates about the channel, hit the bell right beside it, and we'll see you next time.